Thank you, everyone. If you just join us, you're watching Business Week coming to you from our studios here in Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. Let's get into our conversation for today. As Nigeria grapples with the challenges of economic growth, a new threat has emerged on the horizon. That's the alarming rise in the country's debt burden, coupled with skyrocketing borrowing cost. According to a recent report by global rating agency Moody's, Nigeria's interest spending on debt might consume up to a staggering 36% of the federal government's revenue in 2024. This revelation has attracted reactions from economists, raising urgent questions about the sustainability of Nigeria's fiscal policies and the potential impact on the country's long-term economic prospect. Now let's get talking. I'm joined by senior economist at Steers, Mrs. Dumebi Oluwole. Thank you, Mrs. Oluwole, for joining us. Let's start with the key findings of this review. According to Moody's analysis, Nigeria's interest spending on debt might consume up to 36% of the federal government's revenue in 2024. That's a staggering figure, and it raises some serious concerns about the country's fiscal sustainability. Just recently, the DMO's report clarified that Nigeria's public debt rose by 7.71 trillion in 3 months. How do you address these concerns at CS?
Debt is a very fragile issue right now globally, especially for middle to low income countries like Nigeria. And the key issue here is that debt levels are rising substantially and unsustainably, right? Because these countries are already fiscally stressed and will be unable to repay their debts, including the interest payments, considering the current macroeconomic landscape globally that is currently characterized by high interest rates and to some extent bearish investor sentiment, at least towards emerging markets, like emerging and developing markets. Though we're seeing, some bullish sentiments here and there from investors, the expectation is that they will continue to price in this Africa premium on various countries, including Nigeria. Right now, the concern about Nigeria's fiscal sustainability is it's pretty straightforward in the sense that we're not earning enough and we're paying a lot of debt, right? And we're also collecting more debt or planning to even collect more debt. So all of that put together is questioning the ability of the government to, meet its current budget obligations, and even sort out, upcoming debt repayments to both multilateral, bilateral, and, commercial creditors. To simply answer the question on why Moody's is saying what they're saying, and I think it's not too late to start flagging these issues, considering that considering that the current debt level for Nigeria is already beginning to increase so much, and from our calculations, the new $2.25 billion loan from the World Bank might, increase Nigeria's total debt stock by about 2.466%. So while that might look a bit small or minute, when you consider the fact that Nigeria's debt to GDP ratio will now increase to 53%, which is above the IMF's 50% threshold for developing economies, then you can understand why, credit rating agencies like Moody's is flagging this issue with, debt service payments and debt sustainability. In terms of what the government can do right now to ensure that they are fiscally sustainable, they have enough to meet these debt obligations. I think we've had this conversation so many times, and it's just basically focusing attention on productivity, right? So even when you get these loans, when we get the additional loans, when we get some money, how do we spend them, and what's the trickle down effect of those government expenditures on output levels, government revenue, and even generating substantial dollar income to meet our current obligations. So that's the way I see the entire debt and debt service, and even debt sustainability conversation for Nigeria right now.